Welcome to today's webinar. And the topic for today is Understanding ETA Form 9089. Our speaker for today is Benjo Balamiento, and he is one of our Director of Legal Operations in the Philippines. So, Benjo, over to you.
Hi, good evening, good morning, everyone. Good day. Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar on Understanding ETA 9089 and its role on employment-based immigration for healthcare professionals. So in this session, we will walk through the importance of this form, the process involved, and the differences between registered nurses or Schedule A occupations and other healthcare occupations. Let's dive in. So what is ETA Form 9089? So basically, it's a crucial document used in the Permanent Labor Certification or PERM process. Employers must submit this form to hire foreign workers for permanent positions in the US. So the form provides detailed information about the job, including title, job description, work location, required qualifications, and offered salary. So if you watch the previous webinar on PWDs, it will also include information that was included in the prevailing wage determination, such as the prevailing wage number and all of the other information in that document. So actually, filing an ETA 9089 is a mandatory step in the green card process for most employment-based immigration cases. So why is ETA 9089 needed? So employers must demonstrate uh, that they actively recruited or tried to recruit US-based worker before considering a foreign worker for the position. So the form documents these recruitment efforts. Next slide, CJ, please. Um, and ensures that the job offer meets regulatory standards, including prevailing wage requirements. So by submitting this form, the employer certifies that it is hiring a foreign worker and will not adversely affect the wages and conditions of US employees. So on to the process for ETA 9089. So whether of healthcare professional we are hiring now or what we call schedule. The ETA 9089, as mentioned, labor document, but it is filed alongside the petition because, as mentioned, it is a Schedule A occupation or it's already pre-certified, meaning the Department of Labor already acknowledges that we have a shortage of this kind of occupation, and by that, the ETA 9089 can directly filed alongside the I-140 petition. So it shortens basically the waiting process because there's no longer that waiting period for the certification, basically. Now, in contrast, for other healthcare professionals, the ETA 9089 is filed with the Department of Labor for certification. Okay. And then the Department of Labor, after a waiting period of around 6 to 8 months, now there's no published waiting time for this. This is just a practical timeline. For about 6 to 8 months, it will send back the ETA 9089. So it will send it back to us. Then once we do get the certified 9089, we will send it to the candidate to the employer for their signature first, and then after which it will be sent to the candidate for signature as well. And that's the time that we attach that ETA 9089 to your I-140 petition. So basically, if you are familiar already with the immigration process, the certification process would add 6 to 8 months. So this is the time that is cut off by the Schedule A classification for registered nurses. Now, what is the validity? of ETA 9089. So let's go to the validity. So as mentioned earlier, um, for registered nurses, ETA 9089 validity is actually not applicable because as mentioned, it is already filed alongside the I-140 petition. So we don't actually count any certification process that because again, as mentioned, it is under Schedule A or there's already a pre-certification for that. Now, on the other hand, for other healthcare professionals, and this is very important, okay? This is very important and very crucial for us that we take note of the 180-day validity period for the ETA 9089 because of course this validity period once expired, we will need to secure another labor certification, and again as mentioned earlier that would take around 6 to 8 months. So imagine we get your labor certification, we wait 6 to 8 months and we don't file the I-140 petition, and it expires within 180 days. That's already another 6 to 8 months. So that would already entail at least a year of delay. So the validity is very important for professionals. Now for RN, we're very fortunate enough that as mentioned earlier, it's already included in the petition. Right? Now let's proceed with the Q&A, CJ.
All right, yeah, I'll help you with that, Benjo. So, for our viewers out there, if you have any questions, please put that on the chat, and we'll try to answer all the questions that you'll have. So, Benjo, first question. So, how
Mhm.
long does the entire ETA Form 9089 process typically take for healthcare professionals like nurses?
Well, for nurses, as mentioned earlier, it's already part of the petition. So, what we do here in Worldwide, we actually prepare the petition 1989 alongside the petition. All right. So we then send a copy of a portion of ETA 1989 to the candidate for them to sign it, and then we file it alongside the petition. So assume ETA 9089 from the candidate, we can file it together with the petition. So that would, remove the 6 to 8 month waiting time compared to other healthcare professionals.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's proceed to the next question. What are the costs associated with filing ETA Form 9089, and who is typically responsible for covering this cost? Is it
Well,
me or
actually,
my
for
employer?
yeah. So actually, thank you for that question, CJ. Actually, the employer would carry the cost for the certification because they're actually the one requesting for the certification, the DOL, or in which case, if it's filed alongside the I-140, they're the ones who are petitioning. So the cost would be entailed by the employer.
All right. Thanks, Benjo. So I've seen one question from the chat from Sharos. Is there any premium or expedite option in it?
Well, are we asking as a other healthcare professional? Because in which case the Department of Labor does not have a premium or expedite option for it. Now, when it comes to, let's say, if it's filed alongside the I-140 in Schedule A occupations, of course, we do have an option to file the petition in as premium processing. So it would really depend on the type of occupation that we're filing for.
Okay, awesome. Um, Next question. So after the ETA Form 9089 is approved and the I-140 petition is filed, what are the next steps for me to obtain my visa and start working in the US?
Well, typically we just wait for the USCIS to issue a receipt notice and then afterwards the approval. So of course, it would be usually coincide ahead with the petition process, which um, would have a regular waiting time as per USCIS regulations.
All right. Okay. So how about priority date? I've seen one question here, Benjo. Maybe
Mhm.
you can
Sure.
answer this one. So, do you get a priority date before the 6 months or after the English exam and visa screen is submitted? I'm not sure if it's kind of related to.
Well, again, it would, depend what kind of healthcare professional are we referring to. Priority date usually refers to the time that the petition is filed with the USCIS, right? So I'm not sure what are we referring to here, but if we are going to, let's say, for sake of guessing the question here, the 6 month here we are referring to probably would be referring to the certification process, and in which case we don't get the priority date because it's still with the Department of Labor. Okay, but let's say if we're talking about the time that we do file the ETA alongside the petition, okay, then we get the priority date after it's received by the USCIS.
Okay. I
So it's submitted alongside all of the other petition documents.
All right. I think there's a follow up question with Vogel. That's like, does USCIS notice include the final priority date? And this is for RNs.
Uh, well, it depends on the notice that we would receive, but I think this is a question that is for another topic, CJ.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So probably, maybe we can have like a a separate webinar for that one.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. Cool. Next question. So here's a question. Good question. I'm worried that my ETA Form 9089 certification might expire because of
Mhm.
delays in the I-140 petition filing. So how can I prevent this from happening?
Well, if you would provide all of your documents for the I-140, we do have enough time to file your petition. Okay, so even prior to getting the certified 9089, for this is and this is for other healthcare professionals, even prior to getting your 9089 or your certified 9089 back, we actually ask you to prepare already the documents that you would need in order to file your petition. Okay, so as long as you would provide this as early as probably the certification process, or if not, as soon that your ETA 9089 is certified, then there's no worry that your 9089 would expire. So I think you do have enough time. 180 days is pretty long for this.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Benjo. So
All right.
here's a like our last question. Again, it's about I-140, I think. Um, so hello from the Philippines. How long should we wait for the approval of the I-140, and how many months should we wait for get it approved for nurses?
Yeah, well, it would, of course, for regular processing, and again, we don't have a definite answer to this. USCIS would just say that they have a, you know, processing time, and as long as it's within that particular processing time, then that's the time that we have to wait for it. But usually, for the approval, the published rate or the published period for this is around 9 to 12 months for the approval of the I-140. Again, this is not a definite answer, and the USCIS won't say that as well. Okay, but they do have the average processing time for a specific um, uh, processing center.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Benjo. That's really like a great for answering questions from the chat. So that's it for our Q&A session for today. And just to remind our nurses out there, just please like us on Facebook for immigration updates and new positions. And we always have webinars, to keep you informed. So I'll put the link in the chat. Give me 1 second. And also, please, if you have a nurse who is nurse friend who has an NCLEX and a current bedside experience, please refer them to us. And this program, we have this program that if you refer a nurse, um, you will earn up to $250, and you don't need to wait for like years to get your reward. Plus, there's no limit to how many nurses you can refer or how much you can earn. So start referring today. I'll also put that in the chat so you can start referring. So Benjo, do you have any last thoughts or final message for this topic?
Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining this webinar. I'd just like to say to everyone that, of course, I am speaking as a director here in the Philippines, and this is not a legal advice as a U.S. immigration attorney. So please feel free to, just directly approach your respective case managers for your questions so that we can address them. Thank you very much for joining this webinar.